Hello people, this is a tour of our 1800s hearth fireplace colonial kitchen. This would have been the original kitchen to this 1800s colonial. All the cooking would be done in this big fireplace here, which is about 4 feet across and 40 inches high. We use this as our main heat source as well as cooking in it. Or fall and kind of winter, my girlfriend and I will sit in these seats and read and play on our phones and whatever we do. And so this is the original kitchen. I think it dates before the front of the house. I think this part of the house was actually moved here and dates from the 1700s because of the thumb latches, etc. The rest of the house has wooden doorknobs, which is all wood, and those, doorknobs probably 1820s, 1830s was invented. Before that, there's these cool thumb latches. But anyways, a little bit of a tangent there, but this is our fireplace. Cook in here, sit in front of it. We make roasts. We use Dutch ovens and make bread and different things like that, because I don't know if you can see it, that's the original bread oven. Is non-working at the moment. Someday I'll restore it. Here are some other tools that you probably can't see because the light stinks in this room, but I don't care because I'm not paying you, electric company. And that's a big kettle and a whole slew of tools and some bellows and my little hearth broom that I use, and it's about a dozen different cooking utensils to use in this beast. And it has a oven crane which you hang pots on, different things like that. That is right there. I don't know if you can see it, and that thing hanging down right there is called the trammel hook. The pot actually hangs on that, and you can adjust it up and down, and then that affixes to this oven crane that'll actually rotate out of the fireplace and away from the fire, because this thing gets piping hot, this big fire here. And here is the trammel hook hanging from the oven crane that adjusts up and down depending on what you're cooking. We cook mostly soups and stuff that's, like liquidy. And there we go, swing it back in over the flame. And this thing down here, what happens to be in at the moment, is called a spider, most people call it. You put coals under it, a pot sits on top of it, or a pan, a skillet. Usually a cast iron skillet is what we use. And also I have a large baled fixed griddle that we can hang on this, and we will cook breakfast in the mornings, like eggs, sausage, stuff like that. And we do breads in Dutch ovens. So we can pretty much cook anything in here. Roasts are my favorite. Interesting little thing is now, what you know as a roast is actually just the kind of meat, like a chuck roast or a, pork roast, whatever it may be, is not a roast. Is actually the way of cooking it is roasting. You can't roast in an oven. An oven is for baking, breads, cookies, baked beans, pies, stuff that you would bake mainly. But modern man, we call it a roast, and it's actually a baked meat If you cook it in the oven, roasting is done with open fire or coals, depending on distribution in the world and where you are. We cook the roasts right here on a rotisserie. I actually have had mechanical ones, but these days I just got that little plug there and I just plug one in, and it just spins in front of the fire. And an interesting thing happens is the fire, if you're in front of it, is producing what's called radiant heat. It is radiating heat out into the room, technically, and that's what keeps us so warm, is the radiant heat actually heats up the table here, and it heats everything up in the room, and then that stuff also actually becomes heaters as the air moves across it and over it, so it does get toasty in here. But what happens is there's also air moving from the room up the fireplace and out the chimney. So the fire is throwing heat out into the room and then drawing air back through and up its flue and out the chimney. So when you put a roast right here in front of the fire, the heart of the fire, what happens is the part of the roast that's facing the fire is radiated with heat, and the part of the roast that is away from the fire is getting the cooler air from the room moving across the back of it. And as the roast spins, you have a slight cooling and heating effect. So what it does is it causes the juices to move in and out of the meat. And I'll do a video if you guys want, or maybe I'll just do one anyways. But what you tend to do is you'll see, like, I'll put a drip pan under the roast, and very few drippings actually come out of the meat because it stays in the meat. When you cut it, that's a whole nother story. So usually we have to have, can't use the juices for gravy because they're on the meat, so we go to plan B. And I don't know if I mentioned it, there's also a fire back in here. And what that is just a big, huge piece of cast iron, and it gets hot. And it basically just radiates heat out into the room because it'll get red hot some days when I run this thing for a few days straight during the winter or a big storm when I'm, housebound per se. So that is called a fire back. And like if I let this fire go out tonight, say at like midnight, and I'll get up in the morning and that thing will still be throwing heat. That fire back will still be throwing heat off of it out into the room. And that's pretty much it. And this is where we eat. And I'll talk to you guys again. Thanks for watching. Any questions, let me know. That's it. Thanks.